everyone, I'm Dr. Ravina and welcome back to Doc Talk. Today I will be talking about one of the most common gynec pathology, which is called fibroid. So in this talk, I will be talking about you regarding what is a fibroid, how do they occur, what are the different risk factors, what are the different symptoms that occur with fibroids, and how to actually deal with fibroids. So first question of all is, what exactly is a fibroid? As we all know, fibroid is a solid benign tumor of the uterus which originates from the muscle of the uterus. We don't know this number, but according to an estimate, around 20% of women on this world have fibroids in their uterus by the age of 30 years. So what are the different reasons for this very common pathology in female? To be honest, the actual cause is still not known, but we can say that a certain amount of genetic factors, hormonal factors, and some growth factors are playing a role in this fibroid. Now, what we do know about fibroids is that it originates from the muscle of the uterus. And also, it is known, very well known, that it is an estrogen dependent tumor. So whenever the estrogen and progesterone levels in the body are high, that causes the fibroid to grow in its size. So which category of women, so who all should know about fibroids and be worried about it? So what are the different risk factors of getting a fibroid? Now fibroids, they are associated with a very strong family history. So if in your family your mother, your sister, your maternal aunts, your grandmother, all of these have fibroids, then you are at a higher risk of getting a fibroid. Another high risk is being infertile for a long period of time, or not even having a child in your entire reproductive period can also put you at a risk of having a fibroid. Some other very common factors are obesity, high fat diet, PCOS. All of these are also major risk factors of getting a fibroid. Now these fibroids, they are in the uterus, so these can be at different locations of the uterus. When they are at different locations, we give them a different name. So as you can see in the picture, the fibroid can be intramural, it can be subserosal, it can be pedunculated, it can be submucous fibroid. In very rare cases, cervical fibroids are also seen. So all of these are the different locations, very common locations in which fibroids can be located inside the uterus, and depending on the location, it can cause different symptoms and different problems in that particular lady. But a lot of cases of fibroids are such that you might have a fibroid in your uterus and you wouldn't even know until you undergo a scan. So we are not concerned about these cases. The cases that we are concerned about are the ones that need an intervention because of the fibroid. Now if you have a fibroid in your uterus and it is causing you some symptoms, so those cases are the ones that we are worried about, and those cases need intervention. So this takes us to the next point of our discussion, which is what are the different symptoms that can occur with a lady who has fibroids in her uterus. So here we will talk about the most common symptoms with fibroids. Most common symptom is heavy periods, heavy menstruation, which we call as menorrhagia. Now this symptom is the most common symptom in women with fibroids, and it is such a heavy period that it can lead to lot of blood loss, and this can lead to anemia in the long run, which is a low hemoglobin level. Women in India already have a low hemoglobin level genetically, and this puts them at a higher risk as well. Now along with heavy periods, the periods can be such that there is a lot of passage of clots during your periods. Now heavy periods with passage of clots, and also these periods can occur at very short intervals than the normal cycle. So all of this hampers the day-to-day activity of that lady, and it is a very life-disturbing condition. Now along with this, there is also a lot of pain during each menstruation, which is called as dysmenorrhea. Now in young women who have fibroids and they are planning for pregnancy, it could also be one of the causes of infertility when it is kind of distorting the uterine cavity. So it will not let the pregnancy happen, or even if it happens, it can lead to a lot of abortions as well. Now fibroids, sometimes they increase a lot in size. The size is so huge that this fibroid can lead to pressure on the surrounding organs, and it could lead to pressure symptoms in these organs as well. So the most common pressure symptom that can occur because of huge fibroid is chronic back pain and chronic pelvic pain. This can be a very long-term pain which is very difficult to deal with. Pressure symptoms can also be on the bladder. So when it is on the bladder, it can lead to frequent urination, or it can also lead to difficulty in passing the urine. Now when this fibroid is such huge in size that it presses on the kidney, then it can also lead to hydronephrosis, and it can be because of pressure on the ureters, and this is the dilatation of the chelicis of the kidney, and this condition needs intervention as well. Another pressure symptom can be on the rectum. The pressure symptom on the rectum can lead to constipation, or it can lead to pain during passing stools. Now another symptom that can be because of fibroid is pain during intercourse, which is also highly common. Now in very rare cases, this fibroid undergoes degenerative changes. What happens in degenerative changes is the tissue of the fibroid, it starts breaking down, and it can lead to sudden changes in the fibroid and immediate, and it can lead to a lot of pain in that female, and that needs immediate intervention. Some of the fibroids also, in very rare cases, they also undergo torsion, and that needs immediate attention as well. Now, a very important factor to consider with fibroids is that if you do have fibroids which you didn't know about, and then you do get pregnant, and then you are diagnosed as pregnancy with fibroids, then it puts your pregnancy at a higher risk, and this pregnancy needs to be monitored carefully, and we might have to plan a planned CS for that pregnancy in future. So it has to be monitored regularly. Now the most important thing is that diagnosis of fibroid is very easy. Any trained gynecologist who is trained in ultrasound scans, they can easily diagnose the fibroid on an ultrasound scan in whatever location it is. And if that is also not possible, then it can be very well diagnosed with an MRI scan. Now, fibroid, in very rare cases, they have a potential of getting a malignant change and lead to malignancy. So any woman who is postmenopausal and she does have fibroid, then she needs to be checked regularly and monitored regularly to see if there is any malignant change or any degenerative change in the fibroid that has occurred. Now, we all know somehow about fibroids, but the main aspect everybody is concerned about is the treatment of fibroids. What exactly is the treatment for fibroid? I have a lot of people asking about medical treatments for fibroids or some other intervention. I would tell you that there have been a lot of medical and interventional methods that have been tried for treatment of fibroids, but none of them are successful for treating any fibroid. So the actual and the ultimate treatment for fibroid is surgery. If you want to watch how the surgery for fibroids is done laparoscopically at Mayflower Women's Hospital, you can check our surgical videos on our YouTube page. And do let us know if you want to know more about fibroid. So the moral of this whole story is that if you are diagnosed with a fibroid, then you need to be checked and monitored regularly. That is at an interval of 3 to 4 months. You should get your checkup done and see how the fibroid is there in the uterus and if there is any changes in them or not. And the ultimate treatment is surgery. So sooner or later you might have to think about that treatment. I hope this cleared a lot of your questions regarding fibroids. If you do have any other queries or concerns as well, you can write to us on our YouTube page, on our Instagram page and our Facebook page. We will get back to you soon. Thank you.